U.S. companies say they are hurting because of the Trump administration's sanctions against China and against Huawei. I'm sure you've heard parts of this story in the past, but there's a new example now. It may be the best example. It's FedEx. Apparently FedEx, whose shares shot down almost 3% this week. That's a lot in a company that big, when it appeared that China would blacklist the company. And they're saying, look, if China blacklists us, what are we going to say to our shareholders? We're going down, down, down. FedEx says this whole thing is so dicey for the future of the company. It is now, get this, FedEx is suing the U.S. government. A U.S. corporation is suing the U.S. government because of what the U.S. is doing to them, which is hurting their relationship with their major client countries, which is China. Wow. Joining us now is business analyst who's actually lived in China, has a startup there, and resides, interestingly enough, in Memphis. And why is that salient to this story? Because much of FedEx is in Memphis. Boy, if we couldn't have a better guest to take us through this. Luther Mercer. He's a lawyer and a partner with a tech startup, as we mentioned. All right. So what gives, my friend? What is going on, and why is this so important for FedEx that they actually have to sue our government for it?
Well, thank you for having me, Rick. I think the challenge is that when you're looking at a U.S. company that now has to act as a law enforcement agency, actually inspecting packages from Huawei, and they're, as a shipping giant, that requirement and what they're asking them to do is just not possible. And so what we're seeing now is something that we haven't seen before from the U.S. government in regards to actually utilizing commerce, utilizing businesses to try to act on the government's behalf in a way that we just haven't seen before.
So I think, as I was reading the dicta in the lawsuit, it seemed to be saying to me, and I'm not a legal expert, that they're saying this is unreasonable, that what the U.S. government is doing to them is unreasonable because they can't consistently be able to prove that they've checked every single package that's coming or going to Huawei. Therefore, they will easily be in violation of the sanctions that the United States could possibly put on them. Is that pretty much what their argument is?
It is their argument. When you look worldwide, FedEx does about 15 million packages a day in 220 countries. Now, you just isolate that to China and the amount of packages that come out and come into the United States. What they're asking them to do is to look at and inspect every package that somehow is associated with Huawei,
wow,
which in some ways is not possible to even know if that is an association, because a package could be shipped from a subsidiary, a package could be shipped from anywhere that could have some contents or technology related to Huawei. And so it's just, right now, that is just not a possibility for FedEx to do.
So continuing our description of what happens here, so then they go to China and say, look, we can't take your packages anymore because if we take your packages, we're going to be in defiance of U.S. law. So then China says to them, fine, then we're going to blacklist you and we're not going to do business with you. If they can't do business with China, their bottom line is going to be affected by what, 50, 60, 70% or something like that?
I wouldn't even know the numbers, but I can tell you this. When FedEx built their $300 million place down in Guangzhou many years ago, I mean, it was a long-term investment in what they knew to be a powerhouse in the area of shipping. And so now when you say to them that one of the biggest telecom companies in the world, you cannot now ship their packages from one of the biggest shipping of goods and services country in the world, that's going to have a major output on their bottom line.
That's amazing. And so, by the way, tangentially, concretely, what happens if this company, FedEx, is hurt to the people of Memphis, who I imagine rely on this? This must be like the staple company there, right?
Well, just absolutely, Rick. In this city, FedEx is the biggest employer. They employ about 40,000 people. And so as the biggest employer, when their bottom line gets hit, just know in Memphis, we feel it. And so this is something that's extremely important, and we're looking to see what is going to be the outcome of this long-term long-term situation between FedEx and the United States government.
Yeah, this is where the rubber hits the road, my friend Luther Mercer. My thanks to you for coming on and taking us through this, which we thought was so complex, but you made it easy to understand.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.